with Clyde, Yorkshire. We are in a very interesting time, if you will. Give you guys some time to come into the room. Welcome to the AM radio show. So glad to be here tonight with you guys. What a interesting time. We're going to talk about quite a bit of things. Hopefully you had a good afternoon, a good Sunday. It's always nice to have a good Sunday. I grew up in a Christian home, black mother. We didn't learn anything else, and we didn't. We learned Sunday was a good day, it was the Lord's day. Rejoice and be glad. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. You're on with Clyde, Yorkshire. We're going to have a interesting show for you tonight. We're going to talk a little bit. It's a lot to talk about. I greet you, all of my beautiful American people out there. Welcome to the show. Hopefully, again, you had a wonderful evening. Welcome to the AM show. This is our second night in a row that we were able to come on the air. And I told you guys, I am really a radio guy. I love radio. I love talking about issues and things that matter. There's a lot going on right now. And I find it really strange. But before we get into the show, let me just start off by saying, please check out my latest book, Black Women Rings Around Saturn. Black Women Rings Around Saturn, available on Amazon. There is the Audible and there is the Kindle. Black Women Rings Around Saturn. Now, we're in the ending of an age. And of course, the planet will not stop. Heaven and hell will still continue. But a lot of us is going to get our behinds up out of here. I like to pay attention to things that are so obvious, not even a fool can miss it. But many of us are fools. We were made into fools, raised as fools. I was doing a little bit of thinking one day. I said, how come I never noticed the sun and moon? My mother never pointed it out, neither have my father. Isn't that something? The very basic things of life you are never instructed or told by your parents. Water. Something you think is so basic, so simple. What a deep conversation. Baptism. Your mother water breaks. You need it for watering plants, but you never are told anything about it. And so you go to a factory school and they teach you of H2O. Everything is left up to the school and to the state. But yet we think the state shouldn't have any jurisdiction or say over our children. Yet the state teaches our children everything that there is to know or that they want you to know. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk just a little bit about Epstein. Now, I have been reluctant to talk about Epstein. It gives me a headache. Who wants to talk about Epstein? Yet I find it quite weird when and we made a big deal out of this. We didn't care about the 249th year. We didn't make a big deal out of the 248th year of our anniversary. Why the 250th year? There's a reason for that. We were only given 250 years to be where we are. And after that 250 years, we were given an ultimatum. Now, this has been a long 250 years for some people. And for others, this thing went by so quick. But what was supposed to happen at the 250 years? Don't you think it's quite interesting at the end of our little anniversary of 250 years, we have more chaos than we've ever seen? We're in the most interesting war that we've ever been in. There's never been a war like this, ladies and gentlemen. Well, with the fake news media, with a lot of moving the goalposts, you really don't know how bad this war is just yet. But why is it at the end of the 250 years, we are so divided? We don't know if Trump is going to jail. We don't know if he's going to get impeached. And I have another question for you. How can there be so many Epstein files? I don't understand that. How could someone sit there and collect so many files knowing that children are being sodomized, raped? Who would sit there and collect just to see how many bad guys you can catch? Let these children suffer for decades. Who would do something like that? See, if you stop and take a moment, something does not make sense about this. And that's why I'm finally talking about it, because this is not about some weird freak guy who, just kind of got a few people to hang around him because he was popular. This is largely the scandal of the entire existence of this country. That's why it's so big. And finally, people are waking up to the fact that this will bring the curtain down, the veil on our entire country. They know that this Epstein Island was a setup, a creation by foreign governments. Now, just so you know, America have had what people believe as 40 some odd white presidents. But the truth is, America has had 40 something European presidents. Europe runs America. Everybody of consequence that you know are European, including Donald Trump and his parents and his father, whether they're Scandinavian, Czechoslovak, Polish, you, Irish, Scottish. Europe is in control. There is no real white man of America as of late. This is a fact. And so, why would you blame Israel? Israel wants a piece of this cake as well. Thus, the Epstein Island. What better way to control America than to create an island where people can go and freely discover their sexual endeavors and their sexual wildest nightmares? You can just be free. And we can paint it and style it as this is the Illuminati. This is the gateway into being part of the real brotherhood where you are lawless. You cannot be touched. But just take a moment to think, ladies and gentlemen, who would collect this many files? And why would he archive these things? Epstein is not dead, and only a bunch of dumb Americans would believe that the man is dead. He did his job and he got sent to some place in Europe or maybe even Jerusalem because he's done his job. That was your job. He's got a new face, probably a new passport. His job was to collect information on Jay-Z, on Bill Cosby, Bill Clinton, and everybody else who came to that island. That was his job. and they're styling it as some freak got busted. The American people are willfully ignorant and willfully stupid. Truthfully, everybody else and their mother knows that Epstein Island has been a creation of foreign intelligence to control the strongest military and government of the world. How else would you control America if you don't have dirt on its Congress? Have you ever? Now, I know niggas have it, but I'm just asking out general. Have any of you ever walked in the halls of Congress? How about Washington, D.C.? There is more symbols in Washington, D.C. that have simply nothing to do with politics, government, or even America. Most of it are European emblems. Let's take Newt Gingrich. Who is Newt Gingrich? Where does he come from? How about Rudolph Giuliani? Listen to the names. Rudolph Giuliani. Who is Rudolph Giuliani? Who are these people who we call American presidents? Now, President Trump has been acting peculiar, very unusual. And people all over now, mainly Republicans, are saying Benjamin Netanyahu is running the White House. People are saying that the Trump administration is behaving differently. They went off course. One minute, we were tackling multiple things. Next minute, it's all about Israel. Everything else have just paused. At the same time, the only other thing that was in the news was the Epstein files with his name and the name of so many other CEOs, royal folks who either went to jail or resigned. Now, when you look at this war, it absolutely makes no sense. It's brainless. It's almost like there was a hostage and the police all just rushed the location where the hostage was. There was no negotiation. They didn't call the mayor. They didn't contact the governor. They just ransacked and everything went to kaboom. I've never seen a sophisticated and government make so many miscalculations. It makes Iran look like they're the ones running the show. Things that people have never thought that they would see the United States of America doing, whether it's moving their aircraft carriers out the way, reassigning more satellites because the ones that we had in the Middle East have been blown up. So now we got to go get some from Asia. We got to take an aircraft carrier out because of the sewage or the laundry room. Just stuff that makes simply no sense. I'm losing faith in the country where you can't get punched in your face. You can't take a hit to the gut, get up and say good shot. You have to lie. And Israel are lying. See, this is bigger than loving Israel. This is bigger than supporting Israel. This is people who have claimed to really love God and morals have abandoned that for a sick roller coaster in the name of Israel. But the Israeli people don't agree with it. And I got my first lesson of this type of behavior when I went to Ethiopia. I'm sitting up there yelling Haile Selassie and wondering where the marijuana is. And the Ethiopian people said, that's Jamaican shit. We don't honor him the way they do. Have you ever noticed that Jamaican people be screaming Haile Selassie to Ethiopians? He was a traitor and a sellout. And Mungus too killed him and buried him under his office where he deserved. I said, now wait a minute. Now I Bob Marley. They said he was just another weed head, young, inexperienced Bob Marley who did not know nothing of the man he was worshiping and celebrating, knew nothing of his lineage, our culture, or Africa. He had heard stories because he was surrounded by the white church, white leadership, white parliament. So the first time he heard of something royal and black, they was like Black King of Kings and Lord of Lords and all this other goofy shit. And they didn't realize that Haile Selassie was another puppet African, just like Nigeria, just like Ghana, who had no power and was used to accomplish the will of the royal family and given him a little bit of dignity and prestige so they can move forward with using him to maneuver other African nations. I said, wait a minute, I didn't know that. And it was true. I looked it up. I went to Ethiopia myself 3 times, spent almost 6 months there, learned the real truth. And many of us, again, don't know anything that's happening in this world at all. And so, similarly, if you will, in the United States of America, we've been used and abused, misled, and we're naive. Now, I do believe that President Trump will be the difference maker. I do believe that he will suffer a little bit because I do believe, and this is just my heart, that Israel have a lot of information on him. And they have to use it because Israel has a plan. And that plan may not be a bad plan. It's just a plan. I'm sure the Arabs have a plan. Chinese have a plan. Everyone has a plan. But Israel have to carry out their plan. And every religious Christian group in the United States is part of this plan and support Israel, whether they say it out loud or not. That includes Jehovah's Witness. Their entire doctrine is surrounded behind Israel. The way that they do their research to find out things to teach the members of their congregation is rooted around Israel. The Church of Latter-day Saints is rooted around Israel. The Pentecostal Church, which I grew up in, is rooted around Israel. The Baptist Church, the non-denominational church, this entire Christian denomination is all rooted in the mother religion of Judaism. Is that a bad thing? No. Is that a good thing? It could be. But they don't tell you that when you start. You don't know that these different religious organizations have anything to do with Israel at all until you wake up 45 years later, 50 years later, and notice that everything that you're reading in that Bible is pertaining to Israel from Genesis to Revelation, is pertaining not to African Americans, not to the Irish, not to Ethiopians, not to white Americans, not to the Scottish, not to Chinese, but Israel. Everything about our society relates to Israel. Our money, our jewelry, our diamonds, our judicial system relates to Israel. Now, I've asked myself over and over, how is that possible? And what's wrong with that being possible? See, because again, that would mean that Israel is really not using us, are they? That means Israel is our founders. And so while we keep thinking Israel is using us, Israel's controlling us? Because this is what Tucker Carlson is saying. Who's running the show, America or Israel? We are Israel, but just named as a subsidiary group. See, there is no Jewish lobby that's controlling Washington. Washington is Jewish. That's what you don't understand. There is no American dollar. That is a Jewish dollar. There's nothing wrong with that. The banking system is run by the Jews. No, the banking system is the Jewish community. See, when you put it the right way, you don't have to figure things out anymore. The CPAC are run by the Jews. This is by the no, 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 no. We are founded. All our presidents were Jewish, every single one of them, and that includes George Washington and every other one. Our entire Congress are Jewish, just about, with the exception of Omar and a few others now that just got in not too long ago. They got to make it look a little even here, or a little, like a fruit bowl. We can't just have only Jewish. But the NFL, all of the owners are Jewish. Basketball, Congress, church. We live in a Jewish world. I've come to that conclusion, and I have no problem with that. That's just the way it is. So there was no 1776 of neutral Christian men. They were all Jewish, every single one of them. Vatican is all Jewish, just a different sect of Judaism. All Freemasons are rooted in Judaism. Is this some discovery? No. Is this a shot at the Jews? No. It's finally getting to a point where we can understand what is actually going on. Then there's no reason to say anything negative about the Jews. What if the Jewish people are good people and they are really fighting against wicked people? Now, again, I'm not here to paint Muslims as bad or evil, but do you know anything about Muslims? I find it interesting how black people are quick to gravitate towards Muslims as a off-brand or offshoot of Judaism or Christianity. Once you get mad at the Jews or the Christians, which the Christians are Jews, but they're just a different sect of Judaism. They're just, another brand, if you will. So let me be clear. I believe that Jehovah's Witnesses are Jewish. I believe the Mormons are Jewish. I believe Pentecostal, Protestants, Presbyterians. I believe all of that is Judaism, including Catholic. It's all Judaism in my mind. I'm not saying anything to be negative. It's just my mindset. I believe it's all Judaism. Now, what do you know about Islam? Have any of you ever been to a Muslim country? And again, this may sound wrong, but I have nothing against Muslims. But I used to love Muslims, like Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X. I thought Islam spoke to the goodness of the soul. And at some point, if you listen to the Minister Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you think that Judaism is wicked and lying under the power of Satan and disguising itself and deceiving like a snake wrapped around the entire planet, the entire world. It's what you come to believe. It's what Malcolm believed at some point, Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X. Black Judaism people and Hebrew Israelites. And that's what I began to be taught myself. Likely, I started to study a little bit of Islam. I said, okay, maybe these are the good guys. And I went down a rabbit hole that was so dangerous. It made me rethink and reshape what I thought I knew. You see, I never really found Jewish people to be slave owners, but I did find Muslims. It is part of their doctrine to have servants and slaves of black people. It was the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life, and it bothered me. I'm sorry. I got to tell it the way it is. I could not believe it. We lived in the hood, the neighborhood, with Ali and all of these beautiful Muslims who sold us incense, cakes, donuts, sodas, gum, M&Ms, Snicker bars. They didn't mind if you were Muslim or you learned about Allah. They appreciated that. Just like some of the African niggas, they love to learn Islam and you go work in the store. They have an a ladder system of race as well. So what's the difference? What is the difference? You go to Saudi Arabia, and if you're not light skinned, you are a peasant. You go to Pakistan, and if you're not light skinned, you're a peasant. This is the truth. Same goes in Indonesia, Dubai, Palestine, Libya. This don't make any sense. So so wait a minute. What the hell is going on here? How are people feeling sorry for Muslim nations that are being destroyed and decimated? And these same countries, including Iran, only invite Africans in so they can babysit their children. Come on. Clean the asses of elderly Arab or Persian people. They utilize your girls in Libya as slaves. Again, I am disturbed about how demonic people could really be in the name of Allah. It frightens me. Minister Farrakhan looking silly sometimes would call himself trying to chastise the Arab and tell them about themselves. He's done it many times and saying we got to do better, Muslims. But you willing to give them a light pass, but the Jews are just the synagogue of Satan. You see what I'm saying? This makes and this is what happens. This if there's like a covenant of Abrahamic natured people to divide and conquer one another. But the niggas are not even involved. You just peasants to the whites, to the Jewishes, and to the Arab. That's what it started to look like over a period of time. This has nothing to do with niggas. You just sit down and shut up. This is between a good white man, the good Arab man, and the good Jewish man. That's what this is about. The Abraham Accords. Your ass ain't involved. Is that what's going on? Again, the only culture I've never seen to slave anybody are Jewish people. I'm just saying. Christians, you already know the story with that. Killing people, crusades, hanging niggas, and all kinds of stuff. The only thing I've ever seen the Jews be accused of is mistreating Jesus. Other than that, what could you say the Jewish people have done? Most of the time, they spend their time scattered in slavery. Oh, well, they rigged the banking system. Well, whatever. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that this is the worst time in our history. And I can't believe that on the anniversary of our 250 year, that our country is in bad shape. And I believe that this will be one of the most defining years one can remember in the last 50 years. I believe starting with the ending of this month, if we don't make a dramatic change now, we are going to run into a brick wall, and we're not going to survive it. It's that time. As a child, I was given a vision and a veil that's removed from my eyes, and I was able to have dreams like Joseph. And God showed me what was his plan for this country if they did not do right. And the people, they have not done right. They know what's the right way to go. And this is why I even voted for Trump, because I said we have to clean up our act. If God was to come right now, he would flush this country down a toilet bowl. When you look at what we've done to our children, the child trafficking, the child pornography, what is happening on Epstein Island is just a microcosm of what is happening in all 50 states around this country. Children are being taken advantage by predators in the shadows, drinking up their blood, using them as youthful reverse age mechanisms, and we allow it. Seems like the only president that said something about it was Donald Trump. The rest of the presidents, including Joe Biden, when you see him around kids, he looks just look like a damn fruitcake, a weirdo. You seen Prince Andrew? What is their obsession with children? There's something more than meets the eye. It's not just they like children, they freaks, they can't get a real woman. There is a ritual happening in front of the dumbass American people's faces. And we are too stupid to understand what is happening. And so we think Epstein had an island, had a little bit of money, fixed it up, put a recording studio in it and invited people over. Not understanding that this is a setup. That island had law enforcement protecting it. That's amazing. And again, who in their right mind would monitor an island that long? Epstein sent so many emails out where he was name dropping people deliberately, writing down what they were doing in journals and logs for the government to find. He wanted them to find these things. He was emailing people. Come on. With this type of behavior, I know dumb niggas who know not to talk over the phone like that, not to email like that, not to text message. He was name dropping deliberately because he knew that some of these people would go into government. Some of them are billionaires and millionaires. And the only way that they can be controlled is if they get caught up in that island. I'm talking to you because I don't have any interest anymore in building a YouTube channel. I don't care about subscription at this point. I don't care. I had a real desire to be a congressman. I'm resigning from that idea as of tonight or the other day. So far, maybe, hopefully, it doesn't change. I'm still a Republican and a conservative for now. I'm disappointed in the process. I'm disappointed in the party to a degree, but damn sure disappointed with politics. I still have a little bit of hope, like the ivory tower and a never ending story. I still believe that President Trump is a good man and that he's going to do some good. But that hope is fading quickly. I'm now beginning to believe that we really do need our Lord and Savior to come and take control over the earth and do right by the people because we can't rely on government. Mankind, humans, or whatever, we are not capable of doing what is right. We're not capable. We cannot do the right thing. And I have no peace anymore. I don't know about you, but I've never seen anything like this. And I've tried to make it make sense. It just does not add up. What we're seeing does not add up. And I've learned when I know the truth and figure out the truth, don't be so quick to say the truth because you're going to realize that many people who you think will be surprised to learn the truth, they are part of the problem and they are corrupted. I believe wholeheartedly my parents are corrupt. Now, maybe not willingly, but for sure they are corrupt. When I was young, I just couldn't figure out why my mom couldn't understand what was going on in the streets. Why wouldn't you not love Wu Tang? We were preaching a message and rapping about real stuff that was happening in the government, in politics, in the street. How could you not like Tupac? The church was against his lyrics. You know why? Because the church was running their own scam, running their own reality. So, of course, you're not going to like Tupac's or DMX. Now, years later, the church quote him like they're Winston Churchill. Why is that? Because many and millions of people have come to see that Tupac and others like him, including young Nipsey Hussle, have given you more truth than most pastors that you can even think of. Nobody's quoting pastors because they ain't quoting nothing but lies and foolishness. But it's the rebels who had a real message like KRS-One who woke you up. It was Dr. Sabi and people like that. It was not Reverend Creflo Dollar. It was not TD Jakes. You ultimately begin to find that some of these people are pedophiles. These people have robbed the black community under the fake building fund, under the guise of Christianity. People like Al Sharpton, who is an FBI informant. When were you going to tell us that, Rev? Slick nigga? People like Jesse Jackson were really part of an underworld. And poor, silly ass, overweight black people believed in them. You believe in old Jesse, don't you? You believe in old Dr. King, and he was also a government agent. Dr. King, listen at this. Niggas wouldn't know nothing from nothing. It's a shame. Black people are more confused and blind than anything else in this world. They're the worst people to ask about anything. If you want to know any wisdom and what's happening in the world, you be a damn fool to ask niggas. They don't even have a passport. The majority of them. They have no clue about anything. No understanding of foreign policy, domestic policy. Niggas barely know about investing, portfolio, financial literacy, dietary. Many of you know it's true. Completely blinded to most things in this world. If you relying on niggas to teach you the truth or the Bible or explain something to you, shame on you. Because they're gonna take you for a roller coaster. Niggas just don't know anything that's going on. I always wondered how we knew how bad white folks was, but we don't know shit else. Just imagine that. You know how bad white folks are, how terrible the Jewish people are, but yet you don't know that you don't supposed to put that shit in your cabinet or your pantry. Come on. You don't know the genealogy of your family, your grandfather. I mean, what is that? Don't know nothing about germination, the periodic table, but yet you know how bad the white man is. Isn't that something? You go to Africa and you look at these people in the village living like they ain't got no fucking sense, eating animals, ripping their face out, biting them over some fucking fire. What the hell is going on here? Why are you dressed? Why your teeth look like that? Like y'all niggas fell into the Flintstone age. What is going on in Africa? After all of these years, them niggas is still building houses like that. Something don't make sense at all. Hey, you hear me? You stop and you take a moment and think. Wait a minute. That's not natural. What they doing? Going in some of these villages and they living like that, putting shit on they scratching their lips and their ears. That shit ain't nothing marvelous or ancient or majestic. That shit is stupidity. It's dense darkness. It's Tartarus. It's ignorance. Destroying their bodies. Drinking piss and all kinds of rituals that makes no sense. And we don't see nothing wrong with that. Something is seriously wrong on this planet. And I believe we're going to find out shortly what's the problem. I walk by my brothers that are Hebrew Israelites. And I went through that degree of knowledge of black niggatry. I went through the degree of Hebrew Israelism and Moorism. These are some beautiful degrees. Some of them are very knowledgeable. But when you really break it down, you can see the ignorance and you wonder why the temples look like that. Have you ever been to a Nation of Islam mosque? They're the saddest looking mosques I've ever seen in my life. They just look like they bought out a bunch of Chinese restaurants and just put up some crescents and start selling bean pies right away. Didn't change the sheetrock from the oil and shit. I mean, it's just. Then you go into the mosques of some of these other Arab communities and other Orthodox Muslims. They look beautiful, glorified domes and new carpet, chandeliers. Isn't that something? Something is seriously wrong, ladies and gentlemen. And I think we're going to find out very shortly what's going on. It's time for black people to heal and let go of your anger. I I fell into a black hole, if you will, a well of knowledge. I fell deep, deep, deep. And I had questions when I got to the bottom. I wanted to know about Africa. I wanted to know about it. Well, we the real Jews? We the lost tribe of Shabazz? All of these questions. Are we Moors? Because everybody has a convincing argument if you listen to them. Oh no, we're Moors, and we were the original this and that. No, we're the Hebrew Israelites, and we're the original ones, and Yahweh ben Yahweh, and this one, and Noble Jew Ali, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Master Farhat Muhammad, and everybody sounds like they know what they're talking about. And I said, something is wrong with that picture, and I wanted to know why is that. And my sister, I received the answers. And it is the awakening. And it also let me know why I've been single this whole time, why I have no membership in the nation or in the temple of the Moors or the Hebrew Israelites. I'm going to tie this in and we're going to end on Epstein. By the way, we got 48 hours before Trump says he's going to hit Iran. Iran is going to be I mean, if you just watch the timing, why on the brink of our 250-year anniversary, it's almost like we're racing a clock, and we are. And when you understand when that eclipse is coming in August, what is going on? Why all of a sudden did we have to get Iran? Because we are on a timer. But I realize, brothers and sisters, that all of those so-called disciplines that niggas find themselves involved with is just the beginning of an awakening. They're just like the first, second, and third degree of masonry. That's what it's like. And I said to myself, all of those people from Farrakhan, you ever wonder why they can't get along? They don't make no damn sense. They all seem to have the same argument. Their identity was stolen. Every single one of them. But they just can't somehow come together. They supposedly got the same enemy, but they just never come together. Isn't that something? One thing you're going to learn, and it took me a long time to learn. I fell through so many different degrees, brothers and sisters. I fell through so many. I remember when I would walk up in some of those temples and I would look at them and I would listen to them and I would talk to them. I was almost like a strong, I can't even give it in words, but I would break their degrees of knowledge and I would supersede, and they would get angry and they would want to fight almost and say mean things because I could bend like Neo in the Matrix. I could bend their truths. You ever heard the Hebrew? What is it? The Nation of Islam. They gonna start shooting off. Hey, black man, the Earth is the circumference of 275 times 20 times, and you sit up there like this. No, it ain't. You don't know what in the hell you talking about. Hey, black man, we are the real Jews. No, we ain't. We have nothing to do with Judaism at all. And the longer you live and the more you research, you begin to understand you have nothing to do with Judaism at all. You are not the Hebrew Israelites. They are. And there's a reason why you think that that's who you are. You are not no damn Moor. You have nothing to do with Moorish temple science. There's nothing wrong with any of those disciplines if that's what you choose to stay in. But understand, you will be an apprentice. You will be a beginner in your degrees and your knowledge. As you grow and you become beautiful and great, you realize the universe looks down on those things as baby knowledge. That's why when you go around them and you look in their pantries and in their dietary, you can still see something is off with them. Something is really, really wrong. Their behavior, their temperament, something is not right. It's not pure. They're missing something. And then that's what makes you angry with the Jew. Come on. That's what makes you mad with the white man. That's what makes you kill your brother, argue with your brother, compete against your brother. One of the best things that has happened to the black community is the conscious community. Truthfully, it brought all of those disciplines together, whether it was in Harlem or anywhere else, and they begin to talk out their differences and see that they were all saying the same thing, but just from a different angle of the pool table. Isn't that something? Now, Epstein is in danger. I thought he's dead. The country, because of Epstein, is in danger. Whatever they have on our government, God, this is dangerous. Whatever they have on our government, we can't get loose. We can't shake it. And this gonna plunge us into a bad situation. The last thing I want to do, and I'm being honest, my strength is not at its full capacity yet. I'm getting there. I'm fighting some demons internally. See, when you get to my knowledge or my level of information and knowledge, your own fight now is left is yourself. That's the only one enemy that I'm fighting is me, the inner me. This flesh, the older you get, it gets heavier and it's deceptive. And who you are internally wants to rule, but the flesh wants to rule. And there's only one way out of it is to completely become celestial. and I'm almost there. This is gonna be the greatest fight of my life, and I'm loving it though because once I master it, it's almost done. And I know my body's listening to me, and it says, "No, you ain't. We gonna get you some donuts. Just you hold on. We gonna get you some cake, some cookies, and shit like that." And my body has another thing coming because we ain't eating none of that shit. It's a real war within yourself. Your body is warring against you. Everything you watch is training your body to do what it say. Everything you listen to. That's why when people get locked up, they become so pure because they ain't got nothing around them but books. No televisions, no McDonald's, no Cokes. If you still believe that these are just foods that hurt you a little bit, these are programs. Everything around you is a program. Hello. An orange is a program. A banana is a program. A pickle is a program. A grape is a program. And they program your body for different things. The same way a donut is a program. And they're designing them to be programs. Fried chicken is a program. And some of us are so divided. That's what I'm going through right now. Just a little bit of division. I'm gonna get it right. Because when you program yourself with mixed things, it's gonna give you mixed emotions, a mixed mind, a mixed heart. Our country is mixed up. One hand, we used to be the bad guys that hang niggas from trees. Now we hunting down the terrorists now. We used to stop people from going to school. Now education is free, but ain't shit in the education. Ain't nothing but negativity in the schools now. Over sexualized. We don't know what we're doing. The country seems to be good and bad. And we like that place. Well, I guess and it is true. Other places you go in the world, there's negativity there too. It is all plastic. I agree with you. It's it's killing us, but it's okay because one thing we have to understand, we at the end of the age. We're at the end of the age. Now, some of you don't have no idea what I'm talking about, and don't worry about it. Just listen. And if you want to know a little bit more, I would suggest you get my book, Black Women Rings Around Saturn, available on Amazon, Audible, Kindle. Black Women Rings Around Saturn. We're at the end of the age. I'm not talking about the Ice Age or the Golden Age. I'm talking about the last age. This is the ending of an age. Every major world power that left out of power, the eclipse came. And they begin rushing to make preparations, just like we're doing. And they made mistakes, just like Israel and America is doing. They know that that eclipse stands for something and something is coming. They know it. So they're not racing against the Muslims. They're not racing against each other. They're racing against God. Some people are waiting for Jesus to come back, to MacD, to this, to that, and everything else like that. But see, the universe, put it right in front of your face. And see, that's why God does things like that. So you can go listen to what they talk. Now, notice that nobody is talking about the eclipse. None of them. None of them. Only people who know, and the people who are beginning to figure it out, know what that eclipse is, and the ones that are coming, what they're going to do. See, when that eclipse sounds off, it sends a magnetic pulse into the ground. In a heartbeat, it can cut the soil off. Nothing will grow. It'll withdraw all of its magnetic solar energy out of the ground. Just cut it off. You won't even know what happened. Just say nobody can't grow shit. We ain't never seen nothing like this. Niggas nowhere on the planet. That's how the real universal God works. And nobody's talking about that. Out of nowhere, all of the electricity will be zapped out of the water. No electrolytes. That's how the universe works. There are so many things, and God is so beautiful. His answers and the things that He's given us. Tesla figured out some of this. Sabi figured some of this stuff out. And notice none of their messages, none of the churches are carrying. Think about that. Why aren't Minister Farrakhan talking about what Sabi's talking about? Why aren't the Moors talking about that or the Hebrew Israelites? Why? But you are steadily talking about Deuteronomy and Ecclesiastes. But you're not teaching the people what the true universal God wants them to know. Why? Why don't we understand the firmament? Think about that. Why has none of these organizations really told you what is over your head? Because they don't really understand it. They'll read it, but they won't comprehend it. Think about that. You got people who are white, Jewish, and others, unfortunately, to some, who know more than the people who claim to be doing the will of God. You see all of those so-called freaks out there who be talking about the flat earth. You think they're stupid and something's wrong with them. They have done more for humanity than most of the people in the Nation of Islam. Anybody can tell us how bad the white man is and he did this and he did that. And there's many scholars that's come before the nation that have done that already. They've laid it out if that's what you want to listen to. So we really didn't need them if you really think about it. But why is it important that somebody would even share what the true map looks like and really educate you to the size of America or the size of Africa, or that where you think we are on a map, it's backwards. We're not even where they say we are. What? You got to be kidding me. What the moon really is sitting right over your head. You looking right at it and have no idea what that is that you're looking at. You think it's just a little light. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the sun is. I didn't know it was a black ball that illuminates. Nobody ain't told me that. Because you're so busy looking at race. You're so busy looking at everything else except the real wisdom of God. That's the difference. When you really understand that our creator cares nothing about your color at all. It's just your avatar body. That's when you wake up and you understand. When you understand the celestial plane, when you understand what we're supposed to be eating, we're supposed to be fasting, we're supposed to not have all of these electronics around us. We're not supposed to be eating animals the way we do and flesh the way we do. I go around all my brothers and sisters and they talking about Allah and the white man. And I'm sitting there watching you eat a whole steak and a hamburger and hot dogs. But you talking about white folks. You don't realize I'm not saying that you can eat meat. You eat what the hell you want to eat. But I just don't understand when people are going against true universal principles, and at the same time telling you about the evil of another man. I just don't get it. Because, see, you're not really who you think you are or where you think you should be, but you feel righteous internally. You could have a Moor and the people from the Nation of Islam. They'll start off talking about how bad the white man is. Give them 3 minutes. They'll be arguing about each other. Oh, look, you would noble Jew Ali. He was a pedophile. Oh, yo, you was with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Look at him. And Master Farad Muhammad, that old white man. They start arguing in 10 minutes. You wonder, whoa, what just happened here? Whoa, what's going on? And then you begin to see their truths crumble. Let me end on this note, ladies and gentlemen. I know you hate that, and I know you've learned to bypass it. But now it's time for you to elevate. And don't be scared. You see, at some point, the universe brings us to where we are. And I didn't know that. The universe will tell you what to eat. You just watch damn animals outside, they'll tell you what to eat. Okay? You watch the insects, they'll tell you what's right and what's wrong. But enough of us don't get a chance to be out in God's green earth and God's nature. But the universe will bring you everything you need. It'll bring you your seasons. It'll bring you your rain. It'll bring you your sunlight. It'll even bring you your wife or your husband. But see, we always have other devices like the dating sites, religious dating groups, television, movies, music. All of these things is going to bring you nothing but trouble. Menus, restaurants, they ain't bringing you nothing but trouble. And then we don't know how to get out of it. And this is when I knew that I had finally reached a level where I understood and I began to love God in a different way. I realized that everything that I thought I knew, I had to get rid of every single bit of it, every piece. Hold on, I'm going to take my mic out for a second so I can charge the phone at the same time because I want to talk a little bit longer. I just don't because my battery's on 5. But I'm gonna plug it up now. I realized everything I thought I knew, I had to get rid of it. Everything that pushed me in a direction that I didn't ask for, I had to change it. And that include white people. I'm naturally inclined based off of the television shows, the niggas I hung around with, that white people must have done something wrong. And the universe said, I need you to let that go in order for me to train you. I said, well, okay. And it says, I'm going to build in you almost like a kung fu master. See, if you could master your emotions and not let anything on this planet upset you, make you angry, and you could have pure discipline, you will become like water. Water is not mad at white people. Hello. And God said, I want you to learn the order and laws of water, almost like a religion. I said, God, you scaring me now, God. He said, why? You come out of the water, you think you need to get baptized, you drink water, you need it to make your vegetables grow. As above, so below. So what are you scared of? I said, well, shit, I didn't think about it like that now. God said, I'm going to need you to free yourself from all of these things. So when you walk down the street and he said, hey, black man, read Zephaniah 8:3, and I will take thee into captivity. God said, no, 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 no. Let that go. The synagogue of Satan, black man. Malcolm X said, no, 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 no. God said, no, no, no. The same thing happened to Malcolm. Malcolm began to elevate and they got mad at him because Malcolm began to see the universal God's way of seeing things. The sun is not mad at the white man, neither is the moon. It can be unkind at times. Neither are the seasons. So why are you? I said, man, I never looked at it like that. And that's when I began to elevate. Last but not least, I'm cooking right now. So if your part has left and been over and you ain't heard nothing about Epstein or Trump, then you can beat it because we're not talking about that right now. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. But God said, I need you to elevate now. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I couldn't let go of the nutty bars and the cream pies. I love them. Now laters and candies, Cokes, hamburgers. I love it. Fried chicken, little macaroni. God said, I need you to let it go. All of it. Okay, well, I'll just keep chicken. No, no, not chicken either. Not chicken? Mm-mm. Now, this ain't for everybody. This is for you. You want it? I'm going to give it to you. You can't do fish either. What? Pork or beef? What about juice? Nope. Unless it comes directly out of a fruit. Nope. Soda? Nope. Cookies? Nope. Now, what the hell am I going to eat? Oh, there's a lot of things you're going to eat. I used to think like that. And what I realized is if you told these spiritual people that the devil is a hamburger, the devil is chicken, the devil is a donut, they would never leave the devil because they're not that strong. It is easy to fight the white man, you think. It's easy to fight an invisible devil, but it ain't easy to fight donuts, cakes, and cookies, chips, and sodas. It ain't easy. Hello? When you master the body is your real enemy. When you master the body, and Dr. Sebi was learning that, when you understand and you could wake up every day and the only thing you eat is oranges, avocados, peanuts, mushrooms, and things of the earth. You don't eat no oil at all. Zero. It took me years to master that. I ain't seen a bottle of oil in about 2 years. And I realized that the only way to come closer to God is to master my body and put it in check. That is the holiest level that you will ever descend upon, is when you master your body. It is one of the most beautiful levels to ever reach. And a oneness comes over you. A universe comes over you. A nature comes over you. A purity. You don't judge anything. You understand that there's a law that takes care of that. But a happiness and a peace and a calm comes over you. And that's why I've learned to love my brothers. I pass through and they know there's something different about me. I don't say anything. I keep my mouth closed from now on, but I listen to them and I understand. And in some cases, I want to help them, but that's not my job anymore. That's not what I'm walking the earth for. But that's what I'm calling on some of you to become in your final days, in your final hours, in your final stage. We are not going to be here for long, ladies and gentlemen. And don't take that as a bad thing or that's a negative. We're going to always be around. We're energy. We're going to always have a different body on a different plane. Let me check out some of my comments. I know that's right. When I mentioned junk food, they said, see, no, we ain't signed up for this. And I understand it. I'm telling you, that is one of the hardest things. My mother has been in the ministry. She's been a pastor for many years. The hardest thing my mother could not defeat is food, and she's dying now. My father as well. Almost every one of my family members cannot put meat down. And I understand it. It's not for everybody. They cannot put sweets down, soda. I get it. That's why I don't even tell nobody unless they keep on offering me food and offering me stuff. Like my neighbor, every day they see me and for years. And the first time they figured out I didn't eat meat was about 3 days ago when they made me something to eat and I had to tell them, oh, I don't eat meat. They said, what? You don't eat meat? What? I didn't know that because I don't talk about it. I can't even find a girlfriend because I don't eat meat. The moment they find out, what you mean I can't cook you no fried chicken, I can't make you no ribs? No. Well, what we gonna do then? I don't know. I don't want to just be sitting there eating this shit and you ain't eating nothing. I'm being for real. In conclusion, I'm not judging the president. I'm not judging America, and I'm not judging Israel. I'm not even judging the Muslims. What I am doing, though, is I'm monitoring the reality that we're living in. And I know it's not as simple as they say it is. Jeffrey Epstein was just not some weird freak who was being monitored, and he just had a bunch of bad people who watched him burn the world down. Epstein was in sales, and he had to sell to Congress, sell to rich businessmen, sell to politicians. He was a salesman. He was selling a product. And a lot of people brought the product. I have no idea what is coming. All I can tell you is do not be surprised. Do not get disappointed as bad as I have been. Because I really wanted different. But see, you can't have what you want. We have to have what the universe wants. And the universe does want a different world. And I believe it's used Mr. Trump to bring some of that about. For a man of his background to mention that he doesn't want men and women's sports, that's an improvement for America. To say that we don't want any transgender story time in our schools, that's an improvement for America. To use RFK and Mike Tyson to clean up the food in our grocery stores and gas stations, that's an improvement for America. No one said that we were going to get a perfect man in Mr. Trump. He's going to say a lot of weird and uncomfortable things, trust me. But overall, God has used this man. And even Minister Farrakhan admitted that. He said the same systems that used to beat us down, from the FBI to the media in Hollywood, Trump is destroying all of those institutions or cleaning them up. God will use him. And that is why I hold back from casting judgment against that president. Because he's a different breed. And all I can do is hope, for the sake of our nation, that we can have a little bit of grace and be spared. Because God is very angry at the entire earth. And that includes Palestine. And again, it is not for me to pass judgment, but to be honest with you, if y'all knew what was really going on in Palestine, you might say, no wonder that happened. If you knew what was going on in Libya with Muammar Gaddafi, you might say, okay, now I'm beginning to see why this is happening. If you knew what was going on in Iran. See, it don't make sense until you sit back and you either go there, you get to understand it, you do some research. See, what's happening in Pakistan? Now, all of them countries I name have black African slaves in that country. Every single one of them, including Saudi Arabia. Now, you wouldn't have known that. And so what we're thinking is, look at these white men doing that bad stuff again. Look at these Jews ain't doing right. Sometimes God will use other people to bring against you because you're doing wrong. You stealing land from people. You slaving them. You abusing their women. And niggas don't know that. We don't travel. Over 80% of black folks ain't got a passport. We don't even leave our state. So how we gonna, I didn't know that Libya had a bunch of Ethiopian and Somalian women as slaves. I didn't know that. And in Palestine, I had no idea. And in Turkey, I would have never known that. I did not know that over 90% of the drugs that was brought into the black community by parts of our government came out of Pakistan, Afghanistan. I would have never known that. They sat there and made the drugs in the name of Allah, made a deal with the whoever, and brought the drugs in our community. And now look at their neighborhoods. Destroyed, worse, look like they were smoking crack. Hello. See, again, we don't understand this type of maneuvering by God. I want you to think about that. The black community did not look like that 40 years ago. The so-called drugs that came into our neighborhood under the Reagan era and the so-called caskets that they came in out of the so-called CIA or whoever they say them brought them in there, they came out of the Middle East. You can look it up. Half of their societies are cracked out now. Really. I traveled. I lived in the Middle East. I know what's there. Don't be fooled. They had more people on opioids in Palestine than you can imagine. Half of them was on drugs. You wouldn't know that because you don't travel. Google it, half of Iraq and Afghanistan is on drugs. All of the poppy fields over there make the ones in Central America, South America look like a joke. They brought them drugs in from the Middle East and brought them straight into Detroit, straight into South Central, straight into Patterson, New Jersey, Gary, Indiana, Brooklyn, East New York, Best I, in the name of Allah. And now their neighborhoods look like they were smoking crack now. You see how God works? The people who've done wrong and thought they got away with it, no offense, Saudi Arabia have enjoyed the luxury of slaves. I'm sorry, my brothers. I'm so sorry. You've enjoyed the luxury of tigers and all this Muslim Arab wealth. Now, their water systems are threatened. Their oil systems are going down to the drain. And they're turning on each other. There's more chaos, death, and destruction. Now they're looking worse than Africa. And little by little, Africa is building itself up. Isn't that something how the tide turns? Right in front of your face. And I'm not bigging up Africa as if Africa has done something good. I'm just saying that things are changing in our face, and sometimes we're not going to understand what's going on. Why are they happening? But rest assured, if you take a moment and sit back and analyze it and think about it, slow it down, you're going to begin to see the wisdom of God. Guns and drugs. See, you're right. It's karma, Queen. It's karma. It comes right back to you. And they sat up there as they brought their donut stores. They brought their bodegas and their gas stations into our community in the name of our law, selling to us. And, hey, how you doing, Aki? And all this other stuff. Yeah, man, the white man ain't no good. Allahu Akbar. We sitting there, and the drugs we using, and guess what? Have you ever wondered why every time, because I grew up in New York, so when we cut our coke and crack up, we would go to the Arab stores and they had the baggies for us. That you couldn't get them from nowhere else but the Arab store. Hello. You know those red tops and blue tops that we used to sell? We call them krills. You know where we got them from? The Arabs. Did y'all know that? This is a hell of a thing that's going on in this world. This is a hell of a thing. Isn't that something? Now, I know some of my brothers, because I got a lot of friends who are Muslims, they're going to be really mad at me that I'm telling the story the way it is. And some of them is be like, go ahead and say that because you're right. And they ashamed of what they've done. Beautiful people like this. You took some of their lands in Libya. You took their lands in Egypt and made it yours. Morocco, sure did. Algeria, Palestine, most of what you call the Middle East, those were all black folks there. Now you don't know where they are. They just disappeared. And they talking about that's their land. Isn't that something? I'm sorry. That's why I can't do radio no more. I can't do this anymore because we don't, and the truth don't set you free. It gets you in trouble. It makes people who like the lie to continue. It makes them upset. But you got to tell it the way it is. I love y'all. And I wish I could stay on here all night and talk to you. I wish I can open up the phone lines too. I would like to hear from some of y'all. Y'all are some beautiful people. Amazing. So let me ask you a question. Is it Angel Rivera? Do you make music? You said you've traveled to Canada. I would like to go to Canada. I'm so ashamed of myself. I lived right next to Canada most of my life, and I've never been to Canada. I lived in New York. over 20 something years, and I've never visited Canada, which was damn near around the corner. I wish I have. I guess one day I will. And I heard I wasn't missing much anyway. Great job, President Donald Trump. He is doing a good job. He's a bit off track right now, but he is doing a good job. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've come to the end of our broadcast. I love y'all. I love y'all. Y'all are so supportive. I have some good people on, uh, and I'll tell you what we'll do. We don't have to necessarily um, stop talking about a lot of stuff, but really, this is a very dangerous time to be talking about anything, ladies and gentlemen. There's too much going on right now. So what we're gonna have to do is, and I know this is the stuff you want to hear, but what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to um, find a way not to really get in harm's way, because they've snatched too many of my channels. They'll snatch your channel in a heartbeat, and you'll wake up and just, you don't know what then happened, and you're just gone. But we got to find a way to still have these conversations without the algorithms getting on us and without angering our friends. So the next 72 hours is going to be very critical, and I'm going to have to cover it. We're going to actually have to do probably 2 shows a day, just so you know. Starting with tomorrow, it probably is going to be really bad tomorrow. So let's stay tuned and let's get ready to broadcast. It's going to get really bad, but at the same time, it's going to get really good. There's going to be a lot of good. And just remember that no matter how bad things get in this country, no matter how bad things get in this world, the good is getting ready to come in. The good is getting ready to be ushered in. So it's not going to continue to be negative like this, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know. Good is coming. All right? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I love y'all. This is your boy. We are out. Does anybody have any questions before I go? Anybody? Do you have any questions before I go? I'm willing to take questions. Whatever you got. Anything. Going once, going twice. Any questions? No, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Any questions? Anything about the war? Anything about the president? Anything about Epstein? Anything about the eclipse, the universe? There's a lot going on, ladies and gentlemen, and I really wish I could say more. Probably when I get a chance to make my broadcast private, I will share more. But I can't share anything on these public platforms. Cannot. Because that goes against the rules, and I'm not going to break the rules. And I'm not talking about social media rules. I'm talking about the other rules. That you can't share information like this publicly. It's not allowed. All right? And so I do believe in following those rules. Okay? Peace.